Well, hey, Kath, and hello, everybody. I want to introduce you to Kathy Abbott, and understand I have to go through like four names.
Yeah.
We've known, Kathy and I've known each other. We met when we were seniors in high school in beauty school, and everyone thought we were such little angels, but we had the best seats in the house so that we could goof off the most, pretty much is how it was. But
Yeah.
Kathy, so we've had many years together. And as I start writing more and more of my books, you'll see Kathy on here many more times, especially with one of my crazier books that I'm going to write.
Oh, yeah.
But Kathy is friggin' gutsy, one of the gutsiest women that I've ever met. And she started a business in later life. So I want her to tell her your story. So, Kathy, tell everyone your story and how you came about and whatever you want to say. Go for it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nadine. I'm really excited to do this. Yes, Nadine and I have known each other since we were 18, maybe even 17 to start. Um, and it's been a wild ride. And every step of the way, Nadine has pushed me way out of my comfort zone, sometimes for good, sometimes for not, but that's what makes it so fun. And ironically, we've both had sort of this parallel path in a lot of ways. Even though we've woven in and out of each other's lives, there's been a lot of change. But to start, originally we went to beauty school together, and I was a hairstylist, and I did that. I worked for people for a while, and then really had my own business for about 20 years. And when, as a hairstylist, my clients were always saying, oh my God, you fixed my hair and you solved my problems. I should pay you double. You should be a therapist. And if any of you spend much time with your hairstylist, you know those talks get deep. And so I really feel like the 20 years of doing people's hair was a really strong foundation for what I eventually started to do, which is I am a licensed marriage family therapist. And I've been working in the mental health field now for 25 years. So um, the the journey's been interesting. It took me 10 years to get through college because I was a single mom working and going to school and sometimes having to drop classes to take care of the kids and taking a semester off for this or that. And so a lot of the time I really felt like I was just putting my nose to the grindstone and just getting through it. Just, I had I'm a marriage family therapist, and at first I didn't think I could be that because I'd been married twice and failed at it miserably. And I thought, what in the world am I thinking? Oh,
But
and then I decided, huh?
no, go ahead.
I decided, yeah, I just decided to embrace that and say, hey, I know how to really do it poorly. So, and just, because it's not a big, huge part of the story, but it's important. I have now a 16-year relationship with someone that is going to last forever. That's a wonderful relationship. So,
She met in high
and my
school.
first, I knew him in junior high. He was one of my best friends in junior high and high school. I finally got it right. Yeah. So anyway, so I know what a good marriage looks like. I know what a poor marriage looks like. But that was actually, that was one of the first challenges was, you can do this. You know it from the inside now. Anyway, so roll forward to being a therapist. It's just me. I love it. It fits, it works. And um about, well, I'm 62 now. And at 60, I went, why don't I start my own business? So I went into private practice
But
at 60.
how did you like, do you like think of how did that come into what helped you make that decision to go into your own business? Because I know that you were working a bunch of hours, you were running offices, you were doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And then you
Yeah,
were like, how
well,
do I,
throughout my career, I had worked in county mental health. I had worked in nonprofits. I'd worked with um, people who were on Medi-Cal, people who were really struggling and suffering, and I was passionate about it. I loved the work. Didn't see myself profiting from from helping people. It didn't make sense. It didn't add up in my brain. So, and when I was younger as a hairstylist, I had my own business. And I had also owned a business with my first husband, which that business, a general construction business, failed. And so I didn't see myself as a business owner. I didn't want to own a business anymore. I knew how much work it was. And so I always said, I'd really love to have my own private practice, but no, it's too much work. It's just easier to work for people.
So were those stories,
And
did you have a hard time don't letting go of those stories?
oh, I had a horrible, I couldn't let go of them. Matter of fact, and I didn't realize it, but I had hardwired into my brain that I fail at businesses. I can't own businesses. And it was funny because when I started my private practice, my sister said, "You know what, Kath?" She goes, "You're back." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "You're the Kathy I've always known. You've been gone for a long time." And I almost started crying because I had to let go of the old tapes that I'm not good enough. I fail at everything. I'm too much. I'm not enough. I'm, you know, I ruin stuff. I ruin marriages. I ruin businesses. And I had to really let go of what got hardwired in after I had been successful at running my own business that no, I really wasn't. I couldn't. And so, um, and I have to give credit to many of my own employees, previous employees I had trained them, I had supervised them in getting their own license, and they had gone on to having their own private practices. And they kept telling me, "Kathy, come on, you're the GOAT. Come on. If we can do this, you could do this." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 I can't. I can't." And so two in particular people, thank you, Rob and Jen, for encouraging me. They made me do this. And so I give them a lot of credit for getting me here. But once I was on my way, it's been amazing. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to let go of the old tapes. No, you can't do that. Why would you want to go to a university? Go to the junior college. Why do you want to go to Europe? Just tour around America. Why would you want to do the big thing? Just do the little safe thing. Those are some of those old tapes that I had to let go of.
So did you have to accept some of those things before you could let them go? Did you have to accept that, no, you did run a business before. You had a very successful hairstyling business. You managed salons. You did.
Yeah. At 18, I was made manager of a hair salon. And in my therapy career, I was promoted to manager. Matter of fact, I was promoted to clinical director, and I was running $9 million worth of mental health programs for Stanislaus County in one of my previous
So was that
lives.
something that was difficult to accept when you're letting go of the old stories, the old
Yeah.
crap, I'm not good enough stories, and then you've got to now accept actually I am good enough. Is that like that transition? How did that show up in your life? How did you work on that?
Well, so I am passionate about music, and I have anthems for every stage of my life. And I always have to chuckle because the anthem that I lived by through most of the I'm not good enough stage was from Pink's album Misunderstood, and it's the song Don't Let Me Get Me. I'm a hazard to myself, don't let me get me, never win first place, can't afford you know, I just no, I'm no good. I fight a war against the mirror every time I look at myself. I can't take the pressure. I can't take the face looking back at me. So I had to let go of that anthem. And so as I went through my stages, one of the songs that really helped me get here was from The Greatest Showman. The I'm not a stranger to the dark. Um, and the I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us because we are glorious.
I love that
And
song.
that yeah, and I played it over and over on repeat, over and over and over again, so that I could really own, yeah, I I'm not going to let people get me down. They don't want me around. Well, too bad. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it well. So yeah, so music has really fed me, and I have music on all the time when I am not engaged with other people, and it's inspiring. It feeds me, and that's a big way that I got here.
So is
I
that,
also
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say,
No.
what music were you doing? Is that more like, we take care of ourselves. I'd say self-love is biblically. It's, we're not hard on ourselves, we're patient, we're kind to ourselves. It's the internal work. And then self-care is the external work that we do. When I ask people a lot, so how do you take care of yourself? How do you love yourself? And I constantly get, I go have a massage every other week, or I go do this, or I get a manicure, I get a pedicure, or then that's self-care, but not
Hmm.
necessarily self-love. So
Hmm.
do you say that music helps you see that, I mean, and you are a prolific journaler. I mean,
Yeah.
prolific,
Yes. Since
better
age
than
14,
anyone.
I
Yeah,
have journaled since I was 14. Yeah.
every day. Yeah. And
Yes.
music, and you've always done with music. So is that how you bring self-care and self-love together through music? That
That's
how,
a good way to put it.
is that
I
how
never
you,
really thought I never really thought about it that way, but yeah. The journaling, I still journal, not every day and not as lengthy as I used to do because I find I journal more when I'm depressed. I journal less when I'm happy. So I have these thick journals that I used to use one a year, and now I'm going on 10 years in one.
wow.
But
Oh,
yeah, it's crazy.
oh,
I'm like, I look at, I'm like, oh my God, I started this in 2010. What the heck? But I still journal. I listen to music, and I do the music. The music is how I express, and then also just, breathe, right? And ground myself. The music is my self-love and my self-care, and the journaling is how I expel difficult things, and how I share so that I don't forget all of the joys. So yeah, those are two habits that I have done throughout my life that have made a huge difference.
nice. Nice. I'm going to close my door real quick because dogs came in. Every once in a while, they like to start barking. So when you
I
were
also,
talking, yeah, go ahead.
excuse me, I also I like to do creative things. I like to
You got,
draw, paint.
yeah.
So I did during COVID, I did painted a lot of rocks and used to go around and leave them places for people to find because we couldn't talk to people. And
Rock. This is a
oh, you have that? Yeah, yeah. So that's one of my favorites. I love parts, and I love painting rocks, and recently a previous coworker reached out to me, and she said, Cathy, my heart is feeling I don't know. She goes, my soul needs some art. And she goes, I want to start meeting monthly and do art. And you were the first person that I thought of. And we haven't worked together in like 13, 14 years. And we see each other now and then, but I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you for thinking about me. And so she and I, since actually last week, it's been a year since our first art night. And we meet monthly, and we bring ideas, and we try something new every month. And we've done rock wrapping where you wrap rocks with wire and raffia. We've done watercolor painting. We've made bowls out of mushed up newspaper, and we've made jewelry, um and it's like it's really given me something that I can count on consistently for self-care, that it's on the calendar every month. We get to catch up with each other, talk, share ideas, be creative. And we call it the Art Collective, although it's not a collective, it's just the two of us. But our idea is that we might expand it to be something, and she's a therapist as well. So we're thinking we might turn it into like a women's group that we gather and start, because that's one of the things. I mean, I give back at work all day, but my clients are not people that I can be friends with. And so we were talking about ways of bringing our therapy, our self-care, and our love of art into a format where we can share and connect with people that we can be, we can get to know and be friends with. And so to grow the support circle.
I know in Placerville where I used to live, they had, and I was involved only in that I helped with the fundraising. I just would like show up on the day and do, help in a booth, very small amount of help. But they raised for cancer patients art therapy. So it was art therapy for cancer patients. And it was
Yeah,
amazing, the
yeah,
just to be able to do that kind of stuff. It was really cool. So yeah, you've always been a
yeah.
good artist. In fact, she painted, it was you and George painted in my son's bedroom before he was born, this beautiful choo-choo train,
Oh,
the bubblegum train. It was awesome. It was
yeah.
a mural on the wall. It was great.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, it's always been a part of my life. So yeah, so that's what and all of, the music, the art, the journaling, they all get down deep to that part of me that was broken, that was hurting and afraid, and all of those things have helped work through that so that I could get to this place where at 60 years old, I'm like, no, I'm gonna start a business. I can do this. And it's been wildly, wildly successful. I have a wait list of 20 people. I have 5 people a day calling saying, someone referred me. I'd love, and it's like it's crazy. I can't believe I took this long to do it. So
I'm so proud of you. So when, and I never doubted, never have I doubted you.
thanks.
When at the process, I mean, we all go through a time when we feel very vulnerable and we just have to just like, it takes everything we have in us to get over the vulnerability. And as Brene Brown says, be courageous, within our vulnerability. When did you feel the most vulnerable and
Uh, always, forever, all the time. You know, Vulnerable is an interesting word for me because vulnerability means being open and putting your wearing your heart on your sleeve, sometimes maybe being out there. And I feel like I've always been vulnerable.
that's for sure.
Yeah. I'm not afraid to look dumb, not afraid to make mistakes, and and I've proudly done those things. And then, but I started attaching shame to it through the middle part of the journey. And I think when I have felt most vulnerable was when, I after losing my first marriage, I worked at the school. Everybody in the community knew me. All the neighbors knew me. And when I lost my first marriage, we lost our business, we lost our house. When the bank plastered a giant red, white, and blue poster on my house, foreclosure sale, that was when I felt the most vulnerable because here I am, all my mistakes, all my flaws, up there on a billboard for everyone to see and know.
Yeah.
That was tough to come back from. I think that's why I internalized I can't own a business. I can't. I fail. I fail at the everyday things. I can't own a house. I can't clean a house. I can't take it. And so yeah, that was my most vulnerable because I had to hold my head up high and go to work every day in that neighborhood where everybody was either going, "Oh my God, what happened?" or looking at me like, we know what happened to you. Depending on them and the stuff they carry, they were looking at me and thinking all the things. And that a lot of the time is our worst fear. What are people thinking? Well, I got over that. I was vulnerable. I had to show up in that neighborhood every day for 5 more years, and I had to stop caring about what people think. And again, all the puzzle pieces fit together so well. I feel like had I not gone through that and had that happen, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am now, where I truly, I care about people, but I don't worry about what they think about me because they're going to think it anyway. There's nothing I can do, and worrying about it just hurts me.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
do love it when you go through something just so heinous and so horrible like that. And It makes going back to school or something else where you start feeling a little bit vulnerable again. You think, oh, I've been through that other stuff before. This is nothing.
Right,
It's like that's that next step. And I don't think
right.
people that have never been there,
Yeah.
sometimes they waver in the middle and they kind of look at you like, what do you know? What do you know? And
Yeah. And people,
in a
people have,
way that other people aren't.
yeah. And people have looked at me that way. And people, it's like, what do you think? Why do you think you can run that program? What do you think? And I'm like, I know I can. I know I'm able to. It's not out of arrogance. It's not boastful. It's just, I call it, um, um, con humble confidence. I, I, I know I'm capable, and I'll tell people I know I'm really good at this, but I'm not saying it to brag. I'm saying it with humility because it, I've gone through the clawing my way up,
Yeah.
and I've worked hard, and I didn't give up. And so I am here with a lot of knowledge and skills, and I'm successful, but it's not prideful. It's because I've done the work. And there was another really pivotal thing that happened early on. Huh?
I think humility too is it's appreciating your unique gifts and learning to appreciate and be grateful for ourselves and without being boastful or arrogant or rude.
Yeah,
That's again self-love, right? Is
yeah,
really appreciating our own unique self.
yeah.
And we
And you
blossom
mentioned
quiet.
self self is huge right now. Um one of the things I've been training in since I started my private practice, I'm free to schedule my time how I want. I can take a week off to go to an intensive training. I can, you know add value, right? Add knowledge. And um, in my private practice, I'm starting to find myself zeroing in on a population. I've worked with kids my whole life, but I'm starting to work more and more with women of our age, women who are 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. They're facing mortality issues. They're looking at that Erickson stage, developmental stages, of ego integrity versus despair. Am I living well? Am I aging well? Am I ready to die well? And what does that look like? I also am working more and more with women and men as well who've gone through a lot of trauma. And so in the last 2 years, I've taken two 6-month online trainings in something called internal family systems, IFS therapy. And I've also taken a 30-day intensive in IFS. And
Yeah.
I just recently, and to get into the official training with the man who created it, Richard Schwartz, you have to enter a lottery. And I've entered the lottery for 4 years and I haven't ever gotten in. But this year I got an invitation to an in-person 2.5 day intensive training with him. And I'm going next month.
Exciting is that?
I am beyond excited. I'm beyond excited. And his work is about the internal family inside of us, the parts that are inside of us, the ones that go, oh, I should really exercise. No, I want a chocolate bar. Oh, I want, all those voices we have in us, and how all of them are competing for attention and they pull energy away from self. And this work has transformed me as a human. It's transformed my work, and it's transformed so many of my clients' lives that I'm just humbled. I'm in awe. It has.
Would you say that this is how you're finding your purpose?
This is I thought I had found my purpose. I thought I had, but this is my purpose. Yeah. The, helping people understand that humans, we are multipartite. We have multiple pieces of us. We have the angel and the devil on our shoulders, right? We have the voice that wants to do the right thing and exercise and get up at 6 a.m. and eat healthy. And then we have the part that just wants to eat Haagen-Dazs and lay around and watch TV, and we have the part that shames us for that, and then we have the part that's in there going, but I just want a hug, and why can't people like me, it's like, and I'm like, this has been, I remember being 10 years old and telling my mom, I feel like I have four people inside of me, and she's like, oh my God, she thought I was mentally ill. But it's how I have felt my entire life. And so, yeah, this, when you talk about self is, and Dick Schwartz talks about the 8 C's. When you are in yourself, when you are embodied in true self, you're connected to the universe, you're curious, you're calm, you're content, you're compassionate, you're courageous, you are, there's two more, and I always forget the last two, but the 8 C's, clear
Oh,
and
it's not calm.
clear. It's clear, clarity, and it'll come to me. But anyway, you are compassionate, and you're curious, and you are connected and accepting, and really it's being in alignment with the universe, being in alignment with your true self, with that energy that's in the world that we all feel when we're in the right place, when we are living our true self, our passion. And yeah, it's amazing. And that part of us, this ourself, can talk to the little scared parts and take care of them and heal them and help them be free. It's just amazing.
That
Yeah.
is. So how are you letting go of, what would you say to people like to like let go of the outcome? I mean, I think you've done an incredible job explaining as you've gone through your life.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it what I think at some point, like I just kind of go, I have no control over anything. In fact, sometimes I don't even have control over my own thoughts. So
Mm-hmm.
I just,
No, because one of your parts takes over.
one of my other parts, my crazy part takes over,
Right.
and crazy Nadine
Yeah.
takes over. But it's like,
Yeah. I know her well. And
yeah.
she does take over.
Well, there was just a story I wanted to tell
Yeah.
about us. Now I can't remember what it was. It'll come back. Anyway, about just like how do you just let go of the form? Just embrace the essence of what you are doing in the now without controlling the outcome. Because I know that when I'm talking to people and well, this last week I set some boundaries. And I just had some friends that were just too gossipy, and then I found myself kind of like getting like curious, and then I had a couple months where people were just talking about stuff that, and I just kind of I hit my personal overwhelm. So I do what I do is I just go introvert and just say I'm done. I'm not talking about this. I set some tight boundaries. It was amazing, absolutely amazing how some of the, because there's some women that I was walking with and I just said, I can't do it. They couldn't handle it. It was amazing how the people around me could not handle, the closest to me, even including my boyfriend, could not handle the boundary that I set. It made them very, very nervous. And yet all I was doing was going back in and doing exactly what you said, calming down my parts, regrounding myself, coming back to my true self of, no, I'm not going to engage in these negative relationships. I'm not going to engage in this negative stuff. And I am my own true person. And this is who it is. That's all I was doing. And I just needed a couple days to do that.
Yeah.
I found that the people that had the hardest time with me were always the ones that they always had to be in control.
Yeah.
They have the
Yeah.
most control issues. They have the most. So how do you handle that? Long story short, how would you?
My answer isn't, I don't know if it's going to make sense, or I've never had,
You've never been a controlling person, obviously.
no,
We've had some.
I've never wanted control. I've never needed control. And it's not that for most of the last 20 years I've been out of control, but I, I don't, you know, I, I ingrained, I hardwired in a long time ago that we're not in control. And I think there was a significant event that happened in my life when I was in my 30s. My sister's 3-month-old baby died of SIDS. And that changed my life forever, changed our whole lives. And a big piece of it was, you know, I was grieving for the loss of my niece, but I was double grieving because I was mostly grieving for my sister's loss. My pain was not mine. That was a piece of it, but the rest was the pain I felt for my sister's pain. And I couldn't imagine the pain a person would go through losing a child. I still can't imagine it, but I witnessed it. And my sister and our whole family had to find a way to go on and wrap our heads around losing a 3-month-old baby. And what that event did for me personally, and there are so many things that it did for all of us, but for me personally, what it did was it wiped out any belief that I have any control over anything. And from that moment on, I've looked at life like, well, my life I can never go through anything worse than that. Even if my own child died. If my 5-year-old son dies today, at least I had him for 4 years and 9 months longer than my sister had her baby. I am a lucky person. This lesson taught me to live fully, to not expect anything, not to not have expectations. And if I did have expectations, to not worry about if I didn't get them, because at least I'm still here. At least my kids are still here. And this is a horrible thing I'm going through. I've gone through a lot of horrible things, but nothing is as bad as that. And so I'm grateful for every moment I've had. I'm grateful for every experience I've had. If I've been, I remember falling into a gossipy group of women. On one instance, I caved into that and I said a snarky thing. I went home that night. I had nightmares. I felt like horrible about myself. The next day I came into work and I said, I am so sorry. I can't live with myself and do that. And they looked at me like, what? You didn't do anything. And I'm like, no, I said a mean thing about somebody. I can't do that. I've never been able to be that way. I can't.
No, you,
And so
yeah.
I can't. I can't. I mean, my father has always told me, you love too much. You can't love that many people. You can't love them all that much. And I'm like, but I do, Dad. And, one of my things I did have to let go is of, I'm too much. Well, I'm too loud. I'm too much. I want too much. I want. And I realized, I realized this through my work with IFS. I have a part that is in there thinking I'm horrible because I'm too much. And I realized I'm not too much. I'm just right. It's like the three bears. It's too hot, too cold, just right. I'm just right. Because if I didn't love this much, I couldn't have 70 clients who I'm responsible for their mental health. I'm not, no, I take that back because I'm not in control. I am responsible for giving them tools when they come to me to be responsible for their own mental health. And I can't control if they use them or not. I can't control how they use them. All I can do is be sure I'm learning as much as I can and doing as much work as I know how to do and training as much as I can to give them the best tools that I can find.
Be the
And
best.
that's all I have.
Yeah, be the
That's
best.
all I have. Yeah. That's all I have control over. So yeah, I've never had an issue with letting go of the outcomes or the expectations. It's like I'm here and that's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if you could fast forward 20 years, because you'll still be working in 20 years, I'm sure, just like me.
Oh, yes, I will. I don't want to
Oh,
stop working. I'm
no,
like, I can't stop working in 10 years or 20 years. This is too fun.
yeah, no, yeah. I know
Yeah.
my therapist when I went after my second divorce went, she came back to work and she was 10 years old. So she was in her 70s and still working. I still check in with her every once in a while. She's
Yeah,
all
yeah. I figure I'll work a day or two. I'll be 80 and I'll pop in for 1 or 2 days.
perfect. So
Yeah.
20 years from now, what would your 82-year-old self, what do you think they would tell your 62-year-old self?
I think my 82-year-old self would tell myself life is shorter than you think it is. Relish each moment. Don't miss an opportunity or an adventure that approaches. Do it. What have you got to lose? Nothing. Do as many things as you can. You don't have as much time as you think you do. Even if you live to 100, life is so much shorter than I thought it was when I was younger.
Yeah, yeah. Like a roll of toilet paper, closer to the end, faster it
Right?
goes.
Right. That's so true. Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, yeah. So yeah, just live life, appreciate and take advantage of every minute.
Awesome. So how, if
Yeah.
people wanted to get in touch with you, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, I do have a wait list of 20 people, and I don't know when I'm gonna have openings for them. And as much as I would love to have
Do
more
you have a
clients,
do you have a website where you put things
I do,
on and where they
you
have
know, so so I can give people my website address, but I'm not really techie. I'm a boomer. I don't know how to make this stuff work, and I don't have a blog or a Instagram, or I'm trying to wrap my head around trying to do that, because I would love to be able to share uh, the things that I've learned, and put little cute quotes on stuff. And
Cathy could write, I'm going to interrupt her for a second because she could write 10 books and
I could.
she already
I've
has
three
the material.
started. I've
Yes.
three started, but I'm ADHD, so I haven't finished them yet. But
I
yeah,
found this great new program that helps ADHD people like us organize so you can write your books
I've
together.
I've been looking at stuff like that as well, and I am actually finding some solutions. And my website is Cathy Abbott at abbottTherapy.com.
Okay. Cathy,
But there's nothing there. I
let's encourage Cathy to write something once in a while. Maybe like, 10 things to let go of. How to five breaths, little things. Five breaths you can take
yeah,
before you get over anxiety.
yeah. Well, and I so to that point, I've been taking all my things, all my little catchphrases and things I teach people, and trying to put them into a graphic, uh like see, I can't even talk in this tech language, but yeah, I'm trying to put them, using Canva to try to create I call them handouts on paper, right? But I think those could probably go on a website or an Instagram and be inspirational. Um, Seems like this is something I'm going to have to let go of and talk to my little insecure parts about. But yeah, it's something I do want to do. I can feel in here part of me going, yeah, but you're not gonna.
You hire somebody to do those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Have a
I
voice.
thought about that too. Exactly. So yeah. So you can go to my website. You can look at it once, and it won't ever change. So you won't see anything else. But and I always enjoy working with, huh?
AbbottTherapy.com, right? Abbott
Yeah,
Therapy.
Cathy Abbott at abbottTherapy.com.
So it's your website, Abbott Therapy?
Yes.
Abbott Therapy with two. So ABBOTT therapy.com.
Yeah.
Got it.
Anyway, so yeah, that's how you can find me. And I can do telehealth with anyone in the state of California. So
Nice.
um,
And she
yeah,
definitely did it
but
with me. The cat,
I need
Kathy's the one when I tell my story, I talk about when I went through my first divorce and I could not get out of bed. And then you need to be on antidepressants. You need to do these things. And I thought, this is bullshit. I'm sad. I'm ending a 25-year-old marriage. And Cathy and I have known each other since before that. And Cathy was the one that said, feel it, stay in bed for a couple of days. Okay,
yeah,
now now get out of bed, now take a short little walk. And she just said, just go to bed and feel it, be sad. And she
Yeah,
really
you're supposed to be sad.
helped me through that feeling and accepting this is where I was. So Kathy's the person that I talk about that helped me
Hmm.
get through that. So
Oh, thank you. Well, I love you, Nadine, and it's been a long, fun journey.
yeah, it's been,
And it's really wonderful to be at this stage of life. We're 62.
wasn't
And
it
I
all?
feel like when before the video started, I said, can you believe it's taken this long for us to kind of be grown up? But she's like, oh, we'll never be grown up. And we will,
Yeah.
because we're lifelong learners. We're gonna keep.
I always say I'm going to be my daughter when I grow up because she's way more mature than I am.
That's great. Oh my gosh, this has been a pleasure. I really loved talking with you and sharing this story. And thank you. Thank you for asking me out to be on your podcast.
When I finish this book, it's about halfway done. I'm starting to go through the second editing stuff of that. So it's
Wow.
wonderful. And then when I do I'm writing another book that's coming out. It's called Sex and Money. So we'll have to talk with that one. So that'll be a good
Oh,
one.
absolutely. Sounds wonderful. Okay.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thanks.
Thanks.